MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. All right, what's going on? What's going on? Interesting morning. I'm probably going to I had a good week, so if anything, I probably just do some sim trading this morning. Don't really feel like trading this kind of what I want to call it. You know, all this I'm just gonna stick with nonsense. Even that's not a word I want to use. So I don't really feel like trading this. I just put it that way. But you know, we had that strong employment news sell-off. You know, they used that economic news to get things moving. There was very low participation leading up to that point. So there wasn't much to, get in the way. They could pretty much just, it's almost like they had to do it because there was just not that, it was like the whole setup from Wednesday. It made sense that we dipped back so far. Let me just put it that way. But that's only about 50% of what what happened on Wednesday, the run up that we saw on Wednesday. And of course, as expected from that, because that did happen on low participation, that wasn't like a real type of, overall market thing. It was basically just wholesale. We have seen a retracement, I would say a little bit over 50% back to VWAP of that selling that we saw before RTH. So at this point, I'm just watching it. We got some supply off VWAP. That'll be the break of the bear moon from the power range perspective. So we'll see. I'm just seeing how far we're gonna actually make it back to the mean. And out of everything on my watch list, CEO had the least response. And I put all these notes on Twitter and on Facebook, and also in the journal. That's the main place that I note all my pre-market awareness, which gets shared to the Discord. So that supply took us back below automation. Automation currently is sitting at the whole number of 11,900. And right back to that supply at VWAP, getting a supply response. I should definitely at least get up some practice shots. Structurally, from my perspective, this is still mechanical wholesale price action. Anticipation to me feels, a bit low, which has kind of been the case for the most part of this week. I wasn't here for Wednesday's afternoon session, but when I did go back and look at it in hindsight, the way that, the way that was printed, it was printed in a very mechanical way. So overall, the participation, in my opinion, has been like extremely low. So off that response with volume, I'm looking at a supply zone between 905. And you can actually take that all the way to 915. And that's a good point to mention. If you're just, if you just showed up and you see me take some trades, I would highly advise not to follow. See me do. I did mention earlier that I'm not really interested in trading this today. So, but I may get up some practice shots in sim. Now there's nothing to do with what is possible with the market. That's just my personal preference for today. So, if it looks tradable to you, then I would say trust yourself. I mean, it is tradable. Let me just make that clear. Even from my perspective, it's tradable. I just, flowing with my frequency today. As long as this market is open and then we see that up down movement, there's always opportunities.
Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled.
Took us back to the supply area, the supply zone. We made it back there pretty strongly, which, that would typically trigger some buyers to initiate a long. If they try to anticipate that, we didn't get an actual breakout from what I'm looking at, but just the way that we were taken back to that supply zone. And we can saw that we got the supply response there. And some buying had to be triggered up there because this whole business is about order matching. So that took us back down to our inventory. Our shopper, the inventory zone is around 880. Let's see if we stay inside of this shop. So that we did have a little bit of expansion before that. So at some point, it would be fair. Oh, it makes sense for us to leave this shop, this range. Now from this, we did take a break lower. And if we don't continue that, we don't hold that, and it could kind of be telling if, you know, which direction we'll head in. But how far that, you know, we go, that's the unclear part. So we came back inside of that zone. That should have, if that was gonna really be a short, just based on probabilities, if we were gonna have some real selling right there, that should have worked out already. But we went back and retested the automation, and now see if we can get another break. Still holding the inventory zone around 880. So far we've only expanded our shop, but we're staying inside. All right, there's another break. Let's see if we get some follow through this time, which you would expect because there should be some stops to take out down here. And right back inside. So to me, this speaks wholesale all day long. They're only dropping inventory, picking up some cheaper inventory, and they're gonna, for the quick flip back inside the shop. We're back above automation, so that should take us back to our supply zone. The low of the supply zone where we have a increase or a collection of volume is there at 900. Between 900 and 905. Mechanical supply response right back down through automation back to inventory. So we're really just working every order that we can within this shop. Eventually it will leave this area, but you know, they don't want to leave any orders behind because this market is really just, you know, it's not a ton of participation. They need all they can get. Another drop of inventory. And during all that, I actually should have, well, no, that was, I may have had. And I didn't really have any triggers. There was a quick inventory of 880 before we dropped it. What I say? A quick supply area of 880. One more drop of inventory. We're still holding this markdown phase. Doing some negotiating where we previously had inventory. That dropped supply to 865 and a half ish. Let me keep it a whole number. So 865, because these are zones, these are ranges. These are not exact points. But that would be the low of the power range's bear moon. Taking us back to deep space. That was a non-surprising, very mechanical move back to automation. Our previous inventory, our previous main inventory zone, lifting above automation. So all we did there, we just picked up some more cheap inventory. I'm gonna quickly flip that, because we're stopping and we're pausing along the way. Gave us a quick supply back at 880. So we're still holding that supply. Or another way to say that is we're still holding our supply interest at that level or in that range. Back down to this inventory zone. See if we get a touch of 850. And then mechanically we, did based off the volume that I'm looking at down there. So just looking at quick flips, get some cheap inventory, flip it really quick. Let's go back and get some more. The whole time we are, it does make sense that, if for wholesale to be actually working in a bigger overall picture, but inside of all of that, they're going to be moving inventory in and out of their warehouse. The only trigger I had there was around that second push of back to 875. But I just wasn't even thinking about it at that time. It actually, I like for those to take me back to my trigger zones a little bit quicker than that. You know, but that's why I've gotten to a point to where I can kind of feel when I'm not in the zone that I need to be in. And that played a big reason as to why I decided to just, at most, get some practice shots up today. The hard part is trusting that. And actually, you know, because we want to get in here, we want to trade, or I want to trade, right? Actually, love doing this. Is, you know, to me, the money is a bonus. This is something. Now they say, you know, what's the cliche? Well, whatever the cliche is about doing what you love, you'll do it for free. I would definitely do this for free because I've done it for free, of course. But you know, doing it in the cinema, I just like there's a lot that I like about it. I'm not gonna get into all that right now, but I forgot why I started saying that in the first place. But okay, yeah, trusting the energy of just knowing that I'm off, that I'm not in the zone that I need to be in to be as focused as I should. It's not always an easy thing to do, but I stuck with that this morning. And as I can see now in hindsight, that I'm not as locked in as I should be as a participant. Now, I'm still naturally I'm an observer, and you know, I'm in the zone from that, you know, in that way. So that 870, we're back above it, lifting our supply slightly. Got a bit of negotiating up here. I think at this point I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my bootleg trade copier. Start preparing for the second half. I would find an inventory off of automation around 871 once again. Wholesale, our wholesale is very interested in that 870 area. Just in hindsight, just, I'm still looking at this as being extremely mechanical. Just wholesale conducting business. Looking at this from my 3-minute perspective, I'm seeing almost to the tick responses off of 2 indicators that I have on my chart. Just as an awareness, I don't really use indicators for like trading decisions like that, but they're fun to watch. And on that note, I'm going to take a quick break for halftime. And I'll be right back for the second half. MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. All right, welcome back to the second half of Futures Trade Radio. The segment that I have coined Trader Triggers, where I go in on things that have, that triggers me as a trader as I keep my ears to the streets. So the first thing that I want to actually mention, this actually, I didn't have this as a topic for the day, but what did trigger me this week was, and I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing or a good thing, it's just something that piqued my interest this week, is the competition with these funded programs, and how Apex being one of them, that it kind of is taking actions that is probably shifting the industry, or this side of this trading business, to where they basically like made it super cheap to, I don't know how long they had to sell. They had to sell this week, where I think it was like 50% off or however much it was, but they made it really cheap to go through their evaluation evaluation programs. I'm gonna be able to talk one day. And not only that, they put a lot of other rules that they changed, and where we've already seen the responses from the other companies, Lulu being one of them, to where now they have like a cheaper option to where you can get 10 contracts or 10 accounts in one, but you can only if you pass one of them, that cancels out the other 9, right? So very interesting to see how these funded programs they're competing, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of effect that has as we continue to move forward. Yep, they have their own service. It's definitely different between each of those companies, like how orders are filled and how you get the rhythmic data. Even though they're all using rhythmic, they each have their own way of going about doing it. One of those have actually talked about how different. Oh yeah, it's Apex has talked about how different theirs is versus the other ones. But really interesting things that they're doing over there. So let me get to the topic for the day. And today's Traders Triggers topic is: there's a fine line between teaching and learning. Let that one marinate for a minute. That was kind of broad, so let me go a little bit deeper. More specifically, there's a fine line between helping people avoid struggle and discomfort or uncomfortable situations, and blocking or delaying them from growing through their own personal journey. So it's like when someone says, here's an example that I actually heard from the internet, we'll just call it the internet, where someone may tell you, they may tell a new trader that they're giving them what they're saying to the new trader is, this is all you need to know. I'm giving you this information that I have. This is all you need to know. Don't try to use or explore anything else outside of what I'm telling you, right? Don't try to put all the different, try to go through all the different indicators and do all of this. And, I'm giving you based off of all of my research and everything that I've gone through and all the trials and error and all the money that I've lost. This is what I have concluded. So only use this because this is what works. Now, the thing about that is that's just not how the world works, right? You can't completely save another person from the discomfort that you went through, because just off of what you learned from your journey or from your experience. You know, these experiences that we look at as negative, they will happen no matter what we do, right? So it may sound like, you know, it may kind of come off as like doom and gloom, but what I'm saying is it's just really energy. All it is energy, and the energy, it must flow. It has to flow. How we look at the energy is based off of our belief. That's the emotions and all the feelings that we put on the energy as we witness it flow, as we witness its flow, right? So if we call this situation, which is just energy, if we call that bad or good, that's based off of whatever we believe about that situation. So let's just use me as like, if I'm the instructor here, if I'm the teacher here. So by me attempting to redirect you from the energy that I have deemed as bad, I'm actually just redirecting that energy, or the energy that you will eventually have to deal with at some point, right? So the good news about all of this is there's always something to learn that can make us better no matter what the situation is, right? And I'm talking about trading. So let me focus, you know, on the trader's journey, right? So everybody, we're all different. So all of our journey is going to be different. And there's helpful information that I can share to help others deal with these, you know, certain moments along their journey. But at the end of the day, they have their own path that they have to take. If I try to interfere too much with the intention of protecting the other person, I can actually cause them harm by getting in the way of their growth, by disturbing and putting obstacles, or just redirecting them, taking them off of their path. So let me give an example. Like as a parent, you know, I think this is something that I've experienced personally, and that I see a lot with parenting, to where not this example that I'm going to give here, but just in general, where a lot of times we try to, you know, we want to protect our kids, right? We want our kids to be as happy as they could possibly be, to enjoy this life as much as they possibly can. And one of those ways that you know, a lot of parents do it is by coddling. So like one example of this is, let's just call it like the 8th place trophy, right? To where your kids are in this team event, or in this whatever, like they're in some kind of sports or whatever, and everybody gets a trophy. There's no MVP, there's no, you know, most improved, there's none of that. It's just everybody gets the same trophy. You try to make all the kids feel on the same level. And then you take that on. So that's not just going to be in that environment. Then you take that on, and then you try to always speak kind and nice words. Well, kind is not really the word to use. You can be kind, and like Gary Vee says a lot, you can have kind candor. But let's say you try to always, you know, play to your child's emotions and try to always give them the responses that you think will make them happy. Basically, you're lying to your kids, right? Because you're trying to make them happy. Now, here's the problem with that from my perspective. And I'm saying this as a parent, and it's something that I keep in mind as a parent, is that I don't care about my kids feeling as much as, I said it the wrong way. I care about my kids' feelings more than anyone else other than their mother. Because, you know, they're our kids. So if I'm always just trying to make them feel good and do things and say things to them that's always going to be based off of how they're going to take it and how their feelings about it, well, once at some point they got to grow up and they got to face the world on their own. And so they can go into this world by themselves, thinking that every time that I, you know, do something, people should basically consider my feelings with everything that I do. And that's just not how this world works. At some point, they're going to come into somebody or to some situation that doesn't care anything about how they feel about whatever the situation is. And if I don't prepare my child for that, like I'm preparing them to take care of themselves by the basic needs of eating and, you know, keeping things clean and all this stuff, right? If I don't also prepare them emotionally to be for the world by letting them experience things without my intervention while they're still kids and they still have the protection of my roof and, you know, being dependent on me as their parent, if I don't also include the emotional side of that and allow them to go through the process, the natural process of being disappointed, of having their feelings hurt, if I don't allow that to happen when they're kids and I let them, you know, go through their whole young life without with me always stepping in, and then all of a sudden they're adults now, and then they face the world on their own, and I'm not there, you know, whether I've already passed on or I'm just in another place. I'm not there to continue to, you know, play the shield. Then they're going to be dealt with a situation that they're not going to know how to deal with on their own, and which is going to lead to a lot of anxiety, which is going to lead to a lot of depression, you know, and it can go on from there. So I'm saying all that to say, when those of us that like to teach trading and teach others how to trade because of what we've learned, I think it's also valuable to keep in mind that that person needs to still go through their own experiences, because what a lot of times what I think teachers miss, or, you know, the people that have made it, what they miss in all of that is that the gems are not in the P&L at the end. You know, it's not in it's not in the conclusion. The gems are in everything that you went through to get to the conclusion. The gems are in everything that you went through to get to the conclusion. If I can let my mouth catch up to my mind. So of course we do this, you know, out of good intent. The intent is typically, right? The intent is in good nature. We're trying to save them, but like I said, everybody has to be able to go through the stuff themselves. So like the reason why I come to all these conclusions, because everything that I went through, but I was able to, as an observer, as a natural observer, I was able to realize where the actual benefit of me going through all of this, right? And where the value was. So let's just say, for instance, I know how to make $10,000 in a day, right? Or I've been able to make $10,000 in a day. It's not the fact that I made $10,000 in a day. The value is in my ability to see the opportunities to make that much money in a day, because I've witnessed it through my own experience, right? I know the mentality and the emotional fortitude required to achieve such a feat, or to make that much money in a day, because I've lived through it and I felt it for myself. That's where the value is. The value is not in me making the $10,000. That's just the result. That's the trophy, so to speak. The value is in me being able to see that as an opportunity, me being able to see the way to take advantage of that opportunity, to understand emotionally what it means to take advantage of an opportunity like that, so I don't kill the trade too early, understanding that the way that price is moving around to show me this opportunity, it can be done in a way that actually plays off my emotions to make me screw it up, right? All right, really doesn't matter. They just want me to put trick whether it's me screwing it up or not. The way that they move these prices around is the way that will cause me to act. And if I haven't been through that myself, and I haven't gathered the value of being able to make $10,000 in a day, then I could actually be triggered in too early to where I miss that opportunity, or I mess that opportunity up, or I don't get the full potential of that opportunity. Right? I have earned a deep understanding of the details that creates that opportunity. Now here's another perspective of the whole situation of what I'm talking about. Even though I have all of these gems from my experience, you know, from all of my trials and errors and all the money that I've lost, all the money that I made, even though I have a lot of gems from going through all of that, I don't have all of the gems. There's only so much that I can know, because as much time as I give this, my perspective is limited. I can't know it all because I don't have all of the perspectives. The trader that is just starting today is fully capable of discovering something that I haven't discovered yet, because they have their own perspective. And they're fully capable of discovering something that I haven't discovered yet, or that you haven't discovered yet, or the trader that's been trading for 20 years hasn't discovered yet. A lot of times people who trade for decades, across decades, they kind of get stuck in a time period, usually in a time period that they found the success. So while that time period, what they learned during that time period may still work, it's kind of old information, and things have shifted in a way, and they miss the shift, or they don't see the shift because they're still stuck in the time period where they figured it out. So this new trader that just came in today, once they go through their path and they go through their journey, they can actually learn something that helps move the needle forward, and that shifts the environment and shifts the culture, that can help the collective. So what am I saying? Am I saying to stop seeking help from others? Am I saying to ignore anyone that attempts to give you advice, whether there's a paywall in front of that or they're offering it for free? Am I saying the only way to be a good trader is to figure everything out for yourself? Well, no, I'm not saying any of that. Right? Again, that's black and white thinking. I don't live in the black and white. There's a full spectrum of colors in the middle. And that's why, I live somewhere in the middle. Those are the extremes. My recommendation is to find a happy place in the middle. And by the way, also on this note, before I actually get to the point, I've also, of course, keeping my ears to the streets, I've witnessed a lot of people that have learned 100% of how they participate from others, right? And I've also witnessed people who have completely gone at this business solo. A lot of times you see them on podcasts talking about how their journey and how they're trying to save the world based off of what they learned going through that experience, by themselves. And I've witnessed everything in between those two extremes. But what I've learned and what I've noticed as the common ground is that there is no shortcut. No matter if you get your strategy and your game and your system 100% from someone else, or if you go about it all yourself, there's still it's just the way that it works is that there's a journey, a path that you have to go through on your own. And the common ground is how long it takes for you to get to whatever you consider to be success. It's going to vary based off of you and none of that other stuff, because I've seen people who it's taken them, they use someone else's strategy, they use someone else's system completely, but it still took them several years before they figured it out and started being consistent with that. And then you have the other end of that, to where people went and added alone. I've seen them where it took them months to figure it out, to where it took them, several years to figure it out, right? So it really doesn't matter. It's what it is the quicker the only shortcut to me, quote unquote shortcut, is to use all the external information as a mirror to see the reflection of your strengths and your weaknesses, and then go along your path, your journey. And the quicker that you go along your own journey yourself, taking the external as a mirror, as a reflection, then you'll be able to start to figure things out, quote unquote, quicker, if that makes sense. So the whole point is, I've kind of already made it, but I would say to accept other people's gems when they're willing to share it, right? You can even pick up a complete, let's just call it a pack of gems to get you going in a specific direction. So if someone has a complete system and like that system has worked for them, you can take their system, you can use their system to get you going in a certain direction, in a specified direction. But while you're on your predetermined path by their system, if you see a side street that really interests you, don't be afraid to take that detour and explore what's down that other street outside of the path that has been given to you. Even if that detour may lead to a dead end, it may lead to a pitfall, right? It may lead you off a cliff, or it may lead you to the best thing that you've discovered along your journey. Again, that's possible because I had it in my own personal experience that I'm actually using to this day. But no matter what the outcome is, the sights that you see along that detour is going to be so much more worth and have so much more value than you actually making it to the final destination that was predetermined by someone else, or whatever the final destination that you had in mind when you took that other person's system, or when you took the route that the other person gave you. So that was kind of coded. That was an analogy. But in simple trading terms, if you see an indicator or a technique being used that others are telling you to avoid or to ignore, but there's something about that thing, something about that indicator, something about that technique, something about that strategy draws in your attention, explore it. Don't be afraid to explore it. Because it may not be the thing for you, but you can, exploring that thing that interests you can teach you a lot about this environment. It can, and most importantly, it can teach you a lot about yourself. So, take your losses, use your wins as motivations. But what you're going to learn and come into the awareness of through that process that you go through has the potential to be more valuable than anything you have gained or lost in the moments of going through your process and explore, going down your own journey. So that brings us to the conclusion of today's Trader Triggers. I hope someone found that helpful. That one I had something else in mind to talk about, but that one came to me at the last minute, so maybe someone needed to hear that. And if you found it helpful, go ahead and hit that like button to let me know. And until next time, I appreciate everybody for coming through. Appreciate your origin. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Trade it easy.